let's see here. Thank you. William's here. Hi, William. Nice to have you here. He says squares within squares are very helpful for entries. Yes. And so one of the things, if I just can go on about this just for a moment, and people are going to be learning this weekend, there are spots on a chart where we may not be able to forecast with the square principle that they're going to go to a specific square within a square, that they're actually going to go to it. But we know that the square within the square exists there. And we know that if it went there, we would want to buy that price. So in the vast majority of cases, when the market touches its square within the square, and there's a technique that we use to determine a cluster of squares within squares, or if it's not clustered, a singular square within the square. And if we buy there, in most cases, the market is not going to be at that square. It's not going to be able to trade at that price for very long. So that means if you buy it, let me draw it out for you so you can visualize this. So let's say that this is the square within the square. And a really clever, this is not so clever, but let me just put the square here. And let me just draw, I don't know that I'll be able to draw a square within that square, but I'm going to give every little effort here to do so. So when we reach the square within the square, it represents a spot at which the market, I'll draw it like price, or like maybe like this. Let's say the market's coming. Let's say the real square, for those of you, is like right here, okay? And that square is the one that we're keying off of. So just for giggles here, let's just say, let's just use $4,540. So let's use this. Let's just say that this was a square. It's not, but let's just say that it is. And let me blow it up a little bit so that you can see it a little clearer. You certainly will be able to see it now. So there's 4540, and let's just say that we're keying off of this square. We're saying we want to see, let's say, the daily chart close above this square. And if it closes above this square, then we ascribe certain meaning to it and certain future movement, okay? So 4540, that's the deal. We're talking about 4540. But inside the 4540 square is indeed a secondary square. And let's say that square is 28. Let's just say that that's what it is, $4,528. So we're going to take the square within the square, and we're going to say, now listen, we can't be sure that the market's going to go to 45.28. In this particular case, we're not going to say we're forecasting it's going to go to 45.28. What we can say, however, is that the market will often test, especially if this happens to be what we sometimes refer to as a big dumb square. The market's, let's just say the market's on its way down, and it, lo and behold, it hits our square, and it spikes through it. Let's just say this. Let's say on the same day that it hits it, it spikes through it, and then it gets down. I need a way to show this a little better. Let's say that this is the day it spikes through this square, and then I'm going to turn this into an hourly chart, okay, or even a 5-minute chart. Let's say these new bars that I'm drawing, these are 5-minute bars, okay, not daily. It comes down and it just barely touches the 45.28. William, you've seen this. Others that know the square within the square, it's just going to touch this number. Then, again, these are 5-minute bars. It's going to get right out of Dodge. It's going to get right back up. And then, let's call it a daily. Then it's going to close the day. Now, this is, again, a daily. So these are daily, 5, 5, 5, 5, and then daily. So it's all one day. Okay, all of this is one day, but I'm breaking that day all from here, from this bar, is all one day. All of this is part of that day, and this is part of that day. So in the end, it went through the main square, 45.40. It went down to its square within the square, the little diagram here. It touches the square within the square, or it comes really, really close, like with a tick or two. And then immediately, it might not even stay there for 1 minute, because it can't. It can't trade at this level for very long, because the magnetism of the 45.40 draws it back up to later close above the main square. Your long position from here remains unmolested for days now. Now the market launches off of the original square that it was calling to, because the principle is that the market's going to be attracted to and then repelled from the square. But when it's attracted to it, the attraction can be very strong. It draws it down to the square within the square where we're buying. It only stays there for a minute or two. Then it gets pulled right back up to here and closes above it. Well, they're not going back down here again. You're long from here and the market's running.